on top of everything that you do with your own startup, you have the accelerator program. It's a lot, but it's manageable and it's actually a great experience. And after it was over, I was like, oh no, like I miss it already.
Hey, you're listening to the Friends in Austin podcast. I'm your host, Justin Talent, and every week I bring you the stories of the people of Austin. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to Friends in Austin. Today, my guest is Maryna Burushkina. Is that said right?
Maryna, but it's good.
Maryna, and your last name is pronounced?
That's correct. Yeah, okay. Burushkina.
Okay, yeah. Maryna. Okay. Well, thank you for coming in. I know you have a company called Growth Channel. I checked it out. Can you tell us, well, first kind of what it is, and then we'll get into why you started it, when you started it, and stuff like that?
Sure. So Growth Channel is a software company. We automate marketing planning for startups, SMBs, and agencies. So what that means is really like helping you identify your customer segments and map their customer journey. So really helping you with your go-to-market strategy.
Okay, so what made you want to build a tool for automating marketing? Do you have a background in marketing, previously working in marketing?
Yeah, so I spent over 10 years managing marketing teams, everything from enterprise, Fortune 500 companies to startups. And after doing that for over a decade, you just realize that, hey, there are so many optimization opportunities in the whole workflow. And the biggest, challenge for marketing managers as myself was before you even jump into any campaign execution, you have to take like a few weeks or a month to actually plan that campaign. And that is research, that is looking out at finding the right metrics to focus on, looking at the competition, identifying who you're going to be targeting, how are you going to target them, right? Where are you going to look for content? What is the right channel? So all of those questions. So the whole process takes a lot of time. And if you want to outsource it to like an agency or a consultant, it also is going to cost you thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. And some companies even charge like $100K. So costly process, time, money. And this is also kind of was, I think, 3 years ago or so when the idea came up. And this is also the time when we saw a huge tech advancements in terms of AI and machine learning and overall like automation in the marketing space. I think today there are over 1,000 tools in just marketing technology ecosystem helping you to automate your activation campaigns, but there isn't really a tool that can help you plan all of that activities before you actually jump into the execution. So that's what's the background.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I know very little about marketing. So yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on, and then you have to get all these people together and launch a campaign, and a campaign lasts for so long. Maybe you launch multiple campaigns, see which one works best, and go from there, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. And with a Growth Channel, what we have also implemented in the backend is a simulation. So then instead of running thousands of tests, identifying what is the right go-to-market strategy after like a few months, you can have that identification within days with our simulation within the tool as well.
Okay. And so how long have you been doing this? And when did you start it?
Yeah. So we started working on a project 3 years ago. So that was mostly like scoping, workflows, data, so more like backend and business stuff. But we actually launched the product live to public in July 2020. That was during COVID, so it was very tough, but we still managed. So we have a remote team right now, and we've onboarded over 1,000 customers on our platform so far, and we're growing every week, which is great. So those are just some of the things. We are very new in the market still, so we keep on learning. We also started up ourselves, and just moving with it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So did you self-fund the whole thing or what?
Yeah, so in the beginning, we did friends and family round at $60K. And then also in August last year, we went through the SPUDNIK ATX accelerator program, which also joined our pre-seed round at $100K. So we have pre-seed and friends and family round. Actually, right now, we are also raising our seed round to help us scale further. We want to tap more into enterprise market as well, because that was kind of also the initial problem that we identified in my own experience. So there's definitely a problem there to solve, and we see opportunities there, but we definitely need more resources for our startup as well there. So that's where we are in terms of fundraising.
I want to ask you about SPUDNIK and how the whole thing went, but first I want to go back to the beginning of when you started the company. So was this the first company that you had started ever?
No, actually it's the second company that I started. Company? Yeah, the first company I started was a marketing agency. And it's nice to have that background, because right now we are actually, part of our customers are marketing agencies. So it's very easy for us to kind of understand that market and help them use our tool. So with marketing agency, I did that for over a decade. It started like just a simple freelance thing. And then 1 year after, we started growing as an agency. And actually, a few months ago, I sold a branch of it in Europe as well. So I also exited that company to focus more on growth channel right now.
Cool. So when you want to just do growth channel, which is a different kind of company than your previous company was an agency. So you need to build a digital product, and basically it's SaaS, software as a service, right? And you got subscriptions. And also I saw that you're basically, when you launch, you're charging right away. You know how some companies, like, they try to build something for free and then, they try to monetize it later, which is fine. But a lot of people criticize that and say, like, Basecamp, 37 Signals, they would say, it's like, no, make a product, charge for it. Then you have money, and then you can just continue to build users. But so it's cool that you're doing it that way. That would make me feel a lot more confident. If I was launching my SaaS, I would just like to know that, like, hey, we're charging from day one, and like we're getting customers. That's got to be a really good feeling, because that means that you have something real, and you're not just like pumping users into a system and then hoping that you can monetize them later. So this is a different kind of company for you. So how did you even go about the process? I mean, what was the first thing that you researched? Because it just seems like there's a lot to do. Someone wants to launch a SaaS company. You have an idea. You have all this experience that validates your idea. But what do you do after that?
Yeah. So I would say in the beginning, it was a lot about identifying the problem better. So from my experience as a marketing manager, I was just like, every time after you finish your day of work, I would just open up my notes and then start like writing and putting all my ideas down to make sure that nothing gets lost. So that was most probably for like a whole month or two. I was just like writing down ideas, different experiences, and also then talking to other colleagues of mine who are also marketing managers, but in different departments. So understanding what challenges they have and how do they kind of transcribe them. So the way I see my challenges was slightly different than the way they would describe those problems. So definitely just putting all of that together. Then actually the next step I took was talking to technical people, because my marketing background is not as technical, so I wouldn't be able to like code the whole thing myself. So then I had to speak to some of my friends who were IT professionals, software developers such as yourself, to basically identify, okay, if I want to do something like this, what do we need to have, basically? What are the next steps to get this thing working? So then we had to actually build up lots of different workflows and identify data points, and then build those data scrapers. We have bots as well. So right now, actually, we have over 500 different data sources that we connect to. And that is through our own, and then some of them are external APIs as well. So basically mapping the whole thing. So that took a while, I must say.
I bet it did take a while. I mean, that's kind of like the brunt of the work. First, you're like figuring out you knew there was a problem. Then you wanted to organize your problem, get other people's input, see how they frame the problem inside their head, sift through that, find out, okay, how can we take all of these things into a system that makes sense and isn't too clunky, like kind of distilling it down to what's important. And then talking to some technical people, seeing what they think about that implementation, and then planning that implementation and going forward from there?
Yeah, definitely. And actually the big part in our discovery process, let's call it, was last year in winter, I joined YC Startup School, which is also like an online program for startup founders. And that was really helpful to take out and like our prototype to the market. So basically what I did was develop a very short form, which is right now is kind of our onboarding questionnaire in a much different and upgraded manner, but it started off as a simple form to also identify what kind of customers we can get, what their problems are, and basically identify those initial micro segments, we call them, which is basically different industries and segments where our potential customers are. And also that community within Startup School were like tens of thousands of startup founders. So I thought like, let me also check in with them, like what they think about our product, maybe get some feedback from them. And when I spoke to them, they actually said they had even bigger problem with marketing. It was no longer just about efficiency and productivity. It was just like, I actually have no idea what to do, because they're mostly like technical founders. They know how to build the products, but they don't necessarily know how to market them.
That's exactly where I'd fall in. Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Like, actually, the problem is much bigger. So that's also when we pivoted to the startup market and SMB market to basically between January last year and July, we were working on pivoting and making sure that some of the language, some of the segments and different settings in our system were adjusted to the specific market, because there is like, I would say, a big gap in terms of the understanding of marketing and what you need to do between marketing managers and startup founders or SMBs.
What are SMBs?
Yeah.
What are SMBs?
SMBs are small and medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
So that would be like brick and mortar shops, or like maybe boutique store. It could be a bakery, or even like auto service. Like, we have lots of actually automotive customers as well.
So are you saying then that the software is not only for marketing professionals that want to automate some of those processes, but like if I don't know anything about marketing and I go into Growth Channel, I can get some benefit on being able to launch a marketing campaign without having really much marketing expertise at all? Or should I need to consult with someone to help me with that data?
Yeah. So what our tool does, it actually helps you plan your marketing activities, but it doesn't execute them for you. So that part with execution, you still need to address. So it's either if you have like a person who is responsible within your team for marketing, or if you're doing it yourself. But there are just so many tools out there in terms of marketing execution, like marketing automation tools, social media management tools, I don't know, CRM, just thousands actually of those tools. What we do to help you with that part, actually, we recommend you the tools that can help your specific segment in activating your specific campaign after you have planned it with Growth Channel. So that is something that's embedded into our software.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest problems you ran into getting from, having the idea to where you are right now?
Yeah, I think building the team remotely during COVID is a big challenge. So actually, most of our team members, we haven't met physically. So that's a big barrier, I think.
How did you decide who to hire?
So we have, of course, a selection process and interview process. So the best case that I have seen so far, which we follow for the few last hires, is we prepare like the job spec, basically technical description in terms of like what responsibilities are, what are you going to get, what are the benefits, why join us, put it on LinkedIn and give it like 3 days to sit there, and we get people to apply. Within 3 days, we're usually able to get around like 60 applicants. We scan through quickly like the application and then select half or sometimes more than half to actually go into the next step.
Okay, well, so how do you go about, in what order you do that? So it's like, if you don't have a technical background, it doesn't really make sense for you to be looking at developer applications. So what do you do? Go hire like a CTO first? Is that what you did?
So we actually right now have 3 developers on board. One of the developers, who is a machine learning expert and data analyst, is one of my co-founders. So whenever we are looking for a technical person, he's the one evaluating the people.
Okay,
because
cool. So you had a technical co-founder, yeah. So you got to kind of skip that step. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
well, we still do the job spec and we still post it. Mm-hmm. We still screen through them. So the process is the same. It's just that instead of me doing that, he does that.
I was only asking because I was curious, like, what if somebody's a founder and they don't have any technical background? It's like, how do they go about hiring a developer? Because it's like, well, how would I go about hiring a marketing person? I don't have the credentials to hire a marketing person because I wouldn't even know if someone was totally BSing me. Besides, I mean, you can look at their track record, but how do you really know? So it's kind of like, do you then have to hire someone to hire people for you? But yeah. I'm sure some people have to do that, but yeah.
Well, we are lucky that we have basically the technical person on the team who can help us with that. But let's say if you're a technical person and if you're looking for a marketing person, I guess you can first look at other job descriptions that are for a similar role that are being hired. For example, just simply Googling marketing manager job description could do well, and just seeing like what are some of the responsibilities and just putting things together. So that can help. But another thing is there are a few actually marketplaces out there. specifically for marketing. Some of them we partner with. So they actually do the vetting for you. And you just need to, again, fill in a short form as an onboarding. So they identify exactly what your objectives are, what is the level that you're looking for, depending on the budget, maybe, or like timeline or some other elements. And then they recommend like, these are the good people for you that you can then interview and choose from. So there are actually tools for that.
Okay, but so the hardest part was building the team, and it was just kind of doing all that legwork and finding the right people. Did you get lucky and get some good hires right away, or did you have to let anybody go and hire new people?
Sometimes, I think more of junior people. Like I think we had a few switches there, but that's also like more of an internship role that we have 3 months probation period, and then if things don't work out, then it's just 3 months. Basically, it doesn't continue. But actually, all the senior and kind of medium level hires, they're all still with us, so that was all cool.
Cool. Yeah, so it sounds like you did good on that front.
Yeah, it's working fine.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to talk about that was like a big problem point from beginning to now before we get into the accelerator a little bit?
Yeah, let me think about that. I mean, I would still kind of reinforce the importance of collaboration in the remote environment, because just actually before this, my previous call was with the team and we were discussing how we can better collaborate together and work on specific projects at the same time. Because right now, I mean, what a lot of teams and remote teams are facing is that you have like one person working on this thing and another person working on another thing. And even if they work on the same things, they work maybe like not exactly together, and then they just put the things out there, and then they're like, oh, you had this thing there, so then I need to adjust here. So this like collaboration part is, I think, a little bit missing. So just today we're actually brainstorming how we can improve that. So I think like having maybe more touch points, like we discussed today, could do the work, or just identifying more workflows in terms of like who is starting to do what, and when do the rest of the team come in to kind of understand what's happening and give some input and understand how that impacts their work. So just make sure that collaboration piece is not broken in the remote environment, I think is really important.
Do you plan on going in office after COVID vaccinations are pretty much all there?
Yeah, I think like ideally we would definitely do that. So I hope then maybe Q4 this year we could be doing that. I really hope so.
What benefits do you see in working at an office versus what can you get done in an office that you can't get done on a computer at home?
Yeah. So things like that, like brainstorming and evaluating like new product development together as a team and looking at one thing at the same time and contributing and working on things together, I think is one of the things that I am missing. And then maybe empowering the culture of the company a little bit more, because right now we are, I wouldn't say like really working in silos, but we are working one at a time, and then we get together during the different points of time during the week. I think we have a lot of calls during the week actually with the team, but still like it's still a little bit like you work on something and then we talk about it kind of thing. Yeah. So I think a little bit of a more collaborative approach might be helpful, and also just building more culture. I think we have a great culture like innovation, entrepreneurship within our team. So everyone is contributing, and we are also come all from different backgrounds. So I think that's also really cool, but really kind of getting to know each other a little bit better also on a personal level. I think that would be great.
Cool. So where are you from on that note?
Oh, I'm from Ukraine.
From Ukraine.
So I spent in Ukraine 11 years of my life, which I consider the longest one so far. In one place. So that's, I consider my hometown, yeah. But I actually lived in many places, mainly in Europe, Netherlands, Cyprus, Spain, Germany.
Why moving so much?
Well, different project opportunities, mainly work. Sometimes just like idea for change. So let's say from the Netherlands, I moved to Cyprus also because after 5 years of rainy weather, you're like, oh, okay, maybe go somewhere warmer. Yeah, for a change. So like sometimes those kind of decisions, but that really like mainly work related switch.
Okay. So when did you make your way to the States?
That was actually last year when I came for South by Southwest.
Oh, cool. Wait. Last year South by was canceled.
Yeah, so we came 2 weeks before South by Southwest, which was then canceled.
Oh man, that's rough.
And they canceled it like at the last point.
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was at the very that's when we all knew things were real. Like,
yeah,
they're like, oh shit, it's getting real.
yeah.
They
So
canceled
actually,
South by.
I arrived. I think it was last day of February. I think it was 29th last year. So we arrived in the States, and we thought like, oh, this is super cool. Let's explore Austin. And we're kind of considering, like, Austin is becoming like this really tech hub for startups, a really cool place. Let's check it out for a few weeks. And there's this cool event that we were going to anyway. So that's why actually we decided to come earlier. But then, we got on a lockdown, so that didn't really help.
So what did you do when you got here and they canceled it? You're just like, hey, I mean, we're just going to stay here and chill for a couple weeks, or should we head back because this pandemic's getting serious?
Yeah, we actually spent a few months in Nevada as well. We were visiting friends after South by Southwest, which got canceled. So we still went to see the friends, and actually that's the time when kind of more restrictions were applying also to airlines. So our stay in Nevada got a little bit longer than expected. But then we still decided to come back to Texas. So my spouse got another project also in Houston area. So we thought, okay, great opportunity to return back to Texas. But then after Houston, like we were also at Growth Channel getting into SPUDNIK ATX, which is from Austin. And we thought like, okay, eventually we still wanted to go to Austin. So we're going to move to Austin at the end of the day. But in between this time, after our flight was canceled, I think 4 times, we thought like, okay, we better arrange our documents and like figure out the way to actually stay here, because you don't know like when we're gonna leave, and I'm not sure even like if you want to leave right now anyway. So that's basically the short story.
Yeah. So that leads us into SPUDNIK. Then we've referenced a couple of times. It's an accelerator here in Austin. I hadn't heard of it until I looked into you. So can you tell me what it is, how you got into it, why you decided to apply to it?
Yeah, definitely. SPUDNIK is a startup accelerator. They are mainly focusing on earlier stage startups, but they're also looking for great opportunities. And a lot of startup accelerators nowadays, I think, are looking into this earlier stage startups to help them build the product or bring it to the market. And there are different areas that different accelerators focus on. Some of them focus like on technical skills, and some of them focus on sales and growth. Others focus maybe on like enterprise level contracts like Techstars, for example. So SPUDNIK focuses a lot on growth and sales. So they're looking for startups who have a product and at least like one or a few customers, so then they can help them scale that and grow their company. So we applied to them because of that specific reason. So we had a product, and we had I think by that time around 10 or 20 customers, and we wanted to scale. So that's also why we applied. They also have great fundraising support, but most of all, they actually have just a few companies in each cohort. A lot of accelerators, they have like 30 or basically a lot of startups.
So you get less attention. Yeah,
you get less attention. With SPUDNIK, you get a lot of attention. They only have like 5 to 7 startups per cohort. So you get to meet the investors. You have lots of great VIP and mentoring hours. You get like extra feedback sessions, extra just like training courses during the week. It's really, I would say, packed 3 months accelerator program. So it's
you'll be very busy.
Very busy. Like on top of everything that you do with your own startup, you have the accelerator program. It's a lot, but it's manageable, and it's actually a great experience. And after it was over, I was like, oh no, like I miss it already. So actually, it was a great experience. So
you highly recommend them, though?
Yeah, definitely. So any startups who are looking for an accelerated program and like early stage investors with a product and a customer, definitely recommend.
How did you find out about them? And well, I mean, it's probably hard to get in then if they only do 10 people per cohort or 7.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think they have around like 1,000 applicants for each cohort or more sometimes. So I think it is kind of hard, and they have a long due diligence process as well. But everyone does that. So that's nothing special or new. But yeah, I was just actually researching different accelerators and early stage investors within Texas area.
Did you apply to several of them?
I think I applied to a few, yes. And actually, I had a choice between 3 at the end, which was cool.
That says a lot about what you had built already. Yeah.
So that was really cool. Yeah, we decided to go with SPUDNIK because of the few reasons. Actually, one of the things that I really liked about SPUDNIK that didn't happen to a lot of the other places that I have spoken with is they give a lot of great feedback, even like during the due diligence process before you even get in. So that was super cool.
That's awesome. So as a female founder, have you seen any specific challenges, or is there anything out there that, I don't know, you feel is different for you than it would be for other people?
Yeah, I think a lot of female founders have some challenges when fundraising, when building a team, or leading a tech startup. I think in the tech space, we have lots of male entrepreneurs, which is cool. But yeah, I think definitely there are not that many of us, first of all.
Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's because there are maybe less engineers who are female. I'm not sure exactly why. But yeah, there are definitely differences. So I feel like our male counterparts are much more confident. So it's maybe easier for them in terms of that, or it's just communication is different. But also a lot of investors are basically non-female. So then it's there's also different communication going on. But I also see lots of benefits. So sometimes there are lots of investors or other startups who are female-led. So they also see opportunities there when they speak with us, for example, or other female founders. So I feel like we have our own kind of community of startups, female startups, and I'm also a part of a few of those communities. So actually, I think it's kind of cool that we have that. So that's nice, but I do feel like there are some differences there. But that's also what we kind of discussed during those kind of meetups for female founders and kind of helping each other grow.
What's a group here in Austin of female founders that you would recommend?
Yeah, so it's not specifically in Austin, but I think there are actually a few female founders who are part of that group. So I'm a part of Female Founders Network, which is a US network, and I think there are 1,000 people there or something.
So if people just Google Female Founders Network, they'll find it.
Yeah, definitely. And there are a few other ones, which I can actually send to you the links to, and maybe you can include it in the description or something.
Yeah, easy. Mm-hmm. So we talked about kind of the origins and how you got here, and we're kind of coming close to the end of the time here. What is your main focus now? I mean, you've got a product, you've got customers. What's the big challenge now? What's the next steps?
Yeah. So, our next step is to continue growing. So we have our goals for the year in terms of how many customers we want to reach, and the revenue, and of course the fundraising is part of the whole picture as well. We really focus right now on getting more users and converting more users into becoming members on our platform, and then basically focusing at the third level of that on the fundraising opportunities as well to help us scale further.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about, or anything else you want to?
I mean, if anyone listening wants to jump on Growth Channel and use it, I can share a special code in the description, which you can include as well. So if they want to sign up and try it. We also have a free version actually that we are launching for Sprint specifically. So startup founders and SMBs can actually start using Growth Channel for free. And whenever they are ready to upgrade to the next level and kind of get the full experience, they can do so.
Cool. What kind of customers are you seeing adopt right now? I mean, I know you're targeting all kinds of things, but is there any particular kind of customer that you're seeing to be more drawn to it or get on it right now?
Yeah. So we are seeing great success recently with agencies. So marketing agencies, definitely in our focus, mostly full service agencies or the ones focusing on planning and strategy. Another focus that a lot of people are actually using our software are early stage startups. So someone who is launching, let's say, their product launch campaign, or someone who is ready to grow and scale their business, and they're looking for kind of bigger campaign opportunities. So I would say those few segments are most probably our primary customers.
Okay, cool. Last few questions. I know you haven't been in the Austin area long. Is there any place in particular or anything in particular that you're liking about Austin? Maybe any parks, restaurants, places to go? I know it's during COVID, so maybe you haven't had a chance, but have you got a chance to any place in particular?
Well, I love walking in Zilker Park and Barton Springs area, so that's kind of my favorite, I think.
Cool. Have you been to Barton Springs and seen it open? I think it is open right now, the pool.
Yeah, so actually we were just walking there in the area this weekend, which is really nice. But actually I was also, our first place we were renting in Austin when we came here last year was in Barton Springs area, which we walked a lot because we didn't rent a car right away. So actually we walked quite a lot in that area and discovered a little bit of Austin. So really fell in love with the city then.
How are you feeling about the United States in general compared to where you're from? What are maybe some pros and cons on either side?
Yeah, very different mentality, I would say. I mean, apart from external factors like external things, I mean, roads are bigger, obviously, and cars are bigger and stuff like that. But I feel like things are moving much quicker here. So people want to move faster here than in Europe otherwise, in the same setting. Actually, a lot of differences. So people are just more open, I think, here as well, rather than maybe in some of the Western European cultures. So lots of differences, actually. So I can't go through everything, but I mean, those are just a few. The weather is changing really fast here in Texas as well. I mean, like from plus 20 to minus 20 in Celsius in Europe is like a huge change. You would never see it there.
Yeah, there can be some sharp swings. I mean, this winter was exceptional, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we were very lucky to experience it.
Yeah, you were. I mean, or unlucky. I don't know what you want to call it, but.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I'm really enjoying it here. So really like the States and opportunities. I think it's much faster to be able to grow the company in here than maybe I would be able to do it in Germany or so. So definitely appreciate that and really like the community here. Like I think the startup community in the US is really strong. Everyone is very open and helping each other. Kind of no strings attached type of mode. So I really enjoy that. And overall, people in Austin, I think, are really friendly. So that's also kind of why it's my favorite city right now here. So
cool. Well, I'm looking forward to you being able to experience more of it as this pandemic winds down and the vaccines are more distributed. Hey, everyone. This is your host, Justin. I just wanted to thank everyone for listening and give those that are new to the podcast a reminder to please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. If you're on YouTube, please like the video, share it with a friend. That helps us out. Thank you. Maryna, thank you so much for coming in. I know that you're short on time and you got some other things to do. So I just want to tell everyone, check out growchannel.io. And yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you very much.